Hola humanos. Hola humanos, welcome to our ipsicafé scoping series where we take an idea and scope it live in real time, 1 hour at a time. My name is Alejandra, I'm a strategist and community organizer, and we also have...
Hola humanos. Hola humanos, welcome to our ipsicafé scoping series where we take an idea and scope it live in real time, 1 hour at a time. My name is Alejandra, I'm a strategist and community organizer, and we also have... Hola humanos. Hola humanos, welcome.
Lizzie, I think you have to close the YouTube if you have it open.
And the systems thinking.
Great. So the first idea that we are scoping, this is the whiteboard where we left off last week. The first idea that we're looking at in this series is creating a blueprint that allows us to intentionally build and interweave our networks so we can strengthen our communities and more effectively translate people power into structural change-making power. Lizzie will give us a quick recap of what we've done so far before we jump right into it for the day. Go ahead, Lizzie.
Thank you. So in the episode 4, so in the previous episodes, we started with the general brainstorming with the bubbles method that we use. It's a free flow of ideas. Very simple. We use a critical thinking tool that is 5W&H to help us ask questions: what, who, where, when, why, and how. And that triggers a lot of questions. And then we continued with the bubbles and the questioning and started categorizing the bubbles depending on how they could be ordered together. So far we have defined humans, that is a yellow bubble. We have defined core values foundation, that is a fuchsia. Community areas of interest green, blueprint outputs blue, and we have the development of the blueprint is orange, and we left with a gray area that we didn't know exactly how to name it. And I think afterwards we thought that they were barriers. So a handful are blank, and now we are going to continue with the categorizations of the bubbles.
All right, without anything else, let's get to scoping. As always, we will note up, I'll go ahead and do that. We'll note up at the top left the time that we start. Again, we always do that so we can accurately track the details of our progress and to get a glimpse into how long this planning process really takes, depending on the project. While I do that, Lizzie, do you want to add anything else?
No. Now when we start with the categories, as soon as we show them, we are going to mention that we have normally we want to have like an equal representation of categories. We see right now that we have a lot of blue, and we mentioned in the last session that the blue could be split in 2 different categories or be a big categories with 2 legs. But we would be worried about that later.
Right.
We can call these barriers for now. And,
yeah, the gray one. I think so.
Yeah, and if you want to talk a little bit more, Alejandra, about that category.
Yeah, I think in trying to figure out last time, we were looking at the categories that are still, the bubbles that are still not categorized, and trying to see, and I noticed that commonality in the ones that I marked in gray. And yeah, they seem to be barriers to being able to build community, perhaps to interweave community, and not sure how they fit with the whole project, but I do think they stand out as a particular category. What do you think, Lizzie?
Yeah, I think we can put that thought there and continue with the ones that we haven't finished.
Yeah, I'm trying to look. We have collaboration, global interconnection, emotional intelligence, time zones, group dynamics. I don't know if you agree, but I'm just gonna go ahead and think out loud. I think collaboration and global interconnection. I'm thinking perhaps in the purple pink category, in the sense of the idea that these kind of struggles that are happening in different areas don't need to be sequential. And the idea that as we're looking to interweave, being able to do that across countries or being able to collaborate seems central to our ability to do that essentially at scale. So that's why I was leaning towards purple. I'm curious what you think on that.
They are areas, that's why we probably have them at the end, because it could fit in several places, right?
Yeah. I'm perhaps thinking that, just going in a different direction, multiplier effect perhaps can be orange in terms of we can use it when we're developing the blueprints. That can be central to how we develop it. What do you think? What's up?
Yeah, definitely. I think it goes better to the foundation, right? Because one of the foundations is the collaboration, right? So let's work them there.
Okay.
And I want to just forgive me for this. I want to step back a little bit to ensure that there's like a path here, because one of the things that we said, the orange is like the project management to create this project. And then we have the greens are the points of gathering, or what are the things that bring people together.
Yeah, how communities form.
Yes, the yellow are the people, the experts that we are going to rely on to get information to make this blueprint. We have the barriers, we have the foundation that is just the core values, and then we will have the blue. We have the blueprint output and the blueprint development, and the blueprint development is this particular, like we are saying, managing this, but the output is, here is the blueprint, is the operational reality, right? So I just wanted to step back a little for that. So I'm thinking that for the time zones, group dynamics and type zones, they could be,
I'm thinking blue.
They could be blue, right? Because it's what we have. And this is not that I don't want to put blue, but I know that I think blue is definitely needs to be broken later. And emotional intelligence.
I mean, I think that's the beauty of the next step. Just like as we continue connecting and distilling the information, then we'll look at blue alone and see, how that can be broken down further.
Okay.
I think mutual aid, I was going to put in purple.
Yeah, and emotional intelligence, I would put it in purple as well. Because if it's something, it's a value and a foundation, and maybe people don't have it yet or don't know exactly what it encompasses, but it is something that we can address as part of the elements. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it could be purple, but I was actually, I was also considering it could be gray. In a way, I think it might be, in part, lack of emotional intelligence that can contribute to certain ruptures in communities or inability of certain communities to collaborate. So I'm of two minds on that. Both
Yeah, and for just also what we mentioned, have mentioned that some of the bubbles could belong definitely to one or two or three different categories. Definitely could. We pick the one that is kind of the prime, but we also, when we have a chance, we put them like behind with the other color because it could be different actions for or different activities for the same type of bubble. So then we have communication channels. I think that's definitely blue. Could be
I
blue
agree.
and orange, right? Because also we will need, no, it would be blue.
I mean, honestly,
We
I
have
think
the other communications here, so sorry that I.
honestly, I think blue, we will consider all of blue when we're doing orange, essentially. So in that way, if something feels both blue and orange, I feel like it's safe to put it in blue because
Right.
one of the things that I've started to have been doing for a while, but started consciously doing recently is trying to use the project development time, so this right here that we're doing, as a way to test certain things that might be part of the output. So in that idea that we're trying to create this blueprint output that considers these different things, during our process of developing the blueprint, we can test some of these areas, if that makes sense. So we can test how we consider the different communication channels, how we communicate with people, how we do different interactions, how we are flexible around people's availability, considering time zones and just overall globalization. So that kind of thing. So I feel like that helps us fine tune, by applying certain areas, helps us fine tune the ultimate deliverable, essentially.
Right. And if you see, for example, here we have communication channels like in 1 o'clock and communication cadence in 2 o'clock. Or we have here in this 7 or 6 p.m. The areas of knowledge for project management, that is, are areas that the Project Management Institute has established as the areas that we work for projects, that we ensure that we cover all these aspects. And we have, for example, communications here. So it's what you were saying, like, pretty much we are translating, we are doing a lot of the project management activity, that is the development of the tool, and then the other one is the output of the tool. So they will be in group dynamics is part of resources, and time availability is part of time, and so perfect.
Yeah. So
and
I think
identification of needs, I think it will be blue as well.
Perfect. That's what I was thinking too.
Okay.
Cool. Everything's categorized.
Yes. And one thing I like to repeat it because sometimes, sometimes we may forget. These are all the bubbles that have come in these 3 sessions in episode 1 to 3, and the categories. That doesn't mean that a bubble cannot show up all of a sudden in a couple of episodes later. If there's something, we have some people here that we mentioned that we are going to interview people or find research about who have done this, or what is out there, and we can learn new things that, this element we didn't know about, and then we will see it, and then we will categorize it.
So I'm going to make, rather than by date, the date and time, I'm going to start doing it by kind of phase of the information processing, step of the information processing. So now that we've finished brainstorming, which took 50 minutes, and categorization took 2 hours, that we just wrapped up. We did 2 sessions of 55 minutes and then just added another 10 minutes.
Okay.
And then I'm going to put connections. I'm going to start that at 2013, which was when I stopped the time for categories.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, so I want to mention that for the connections, this is one of the important steps of systems thinking. So we have in our ecosystem, that is this blueprint that we want to build to interweave our networks. They are all there. It's just like a box of toys. but there's no, it's like we have a heart, or let's say the organs of the human being, we have a heart, a brain, kidneys, liver. They alone don't do much if they are not interconnected with all these arteries and nerves and veins that take the blood from to, and the nerves that provide the messages what they have to do. So now the key portion of the system thinking is how interdependent and how interconnected those elements are. We have different processes. I have a process where I go from one bubble to another. Alejandra has a different process. Alejandra, how would you like to? Do you want to go with your process?
I mean, if I'm leading it, I would say yes, just because I'm most comfortable with that.
Yes.
But if
yeah, let's go with your process.
I think it's fun. I think maybe next time we'll do the way you do it, because I think it's fun to show how flexible the process actually is, the methodology. So what I'm doing right now is I'm grouping a bit off screen. I'm grouping the different colors, so then we can look at each category.
Okay.
Because I think it helps to just look at it isolated. Can you start sort of ideating, not within the categories, but just looking at the categories that we have? So we ended up with 6.
We ended up with 6 categories.
If you can find a logical sequence of development with those 6.
I always like to start with the development, the orange, because it's just like, it's like kind of, okay, now we're going to manage a project. So I would like to start with that.
Yeah, perfect. Okay.
You want me to bring those here?
No, I got them. I'm just going to move if you see on the whiteboard where you are, I'm putting them on the bottom, and then I'm going to I'm going to update the screen so it's visible there. But I first wanted to select them all.
Okay.
But I'll change it so you can start, because I think we'll probably need a bit more. 1 second while I transition the screen.
Canva probably gives me to, but I am not sure how to do it in Canva. So that's what the methodology is, so a little bit different. But again, it is, it's what makes sense to everyone, right? Is
what each person, yeah, because it won't necessarily make sense to everyone the same, as long as there's a bit of a shared kind of reality among the group. But so Lizzie, if you see down to the left, I brought our purpose and I brought our time, and we don't have that many orange bubbles. So what are you thinking with this part?
Well, we don't have many because we put a big one. We have
one has 10 of them.
Yes. So we have and each of them has their own whole life. And whoever is project management here and is familiar with the 10 areas of knowledge, they know that it means inputs that we need. It means resources. It means processes. So there's a lot of those. So yeah.
Okay. So what do you? How would you connect them?
How would I connect them?
Just trying to think.
Between themselves, I would go for problem identification to the 10 areas of knowledge. Let me see.
Yeah, and here's where one of the way I start thinking about it is, what is the logical sequence of events? Whatever that logic might be, it might be, oh, because I need this thing first, and then in order to produce this other thing, or it might be because you're just one person and you just can't do more than one thing at a time. And using the bubbles themselves, you can also connect the Z. If that's
Sorry, I didn't follow that. What?
Oh, that from the bubbles themselves, you can create, like on the side, they should give you a little arrow, and then you can connect
yes,
between them.
I see that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, so problem identification to defining the 10 areas of knowledge, and then
yeah, that's what I will say. I'm not too.
You're good. You're good.
too familiar with this. How to see. I create another one. So
okay. I'll connect it. It's okay.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. We can even do it like this. I like doing sort of a left to right, but that is not universal. There are some, for some people it might make sense top to bottom, or bottom to top, right to left, wherever it might be, however it makes sense to you. I think it is good.
And now that I'm seeing this, how are they doing it? I think it should be more of a yellow.
I think so too, because that is maybe the handoff, almost the transition from bringing in the yellow input into our development. So maybe that's a connector right there. Let me bring in the yellows. And one thing I'd like to do, I'm going to do a zoom out really quick on this screen that's showing, because it essentially shows how I start just moving the bubbles. Just big zoom out. I copy all the bubbles, and then I start moving them into their color categories. And that just is a first step in and then being able to look at the information a little more closely without as much noise of the other categories, if that makes sense. So let me finish putting the colors, and then I think maybe it would have been a good for us to do it your way, just so you could guide it a little better.
Yeah. The thing is that we have to, like I mentioned, either get good with Canva or go into Miro, and we already have developed all the bubbles here in Canva, so it would have been like a little bit of a.
Oh, no, not so much with Miro, but just like the way you do your process. But yeah, I guess you're more comfortable with that tool, so that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because and again, Canva probably does it. I just haven't researched enough or at all how it does, because with Miro I can move the arrows freely, all the curves. It really, but it's what I have used for a while, so I'm very familiar and I feel comfortable with that tool. Not that it cannot be done here. It can be done in PowerPoint. It can be done, as I said, at the beginning of times, when I did this like 20 years ago, 20 plus, there was no Miro, there was no Canvas, it was just PowerPoint, and I didn't do it in I did it in PowerPoint, and they were like straight lines, and it was, and again, this is something that we do pretty much for ourselves, and this is a process. It's not like other project partners or players. They can see, they interact, they are part of this, but it's not something that you at the present, it is just the process of how you get it done. And then you can get the information through the interviews and the, that we have done in these three episodes, but then you will have it resolved, and that's what will be for presentations, or how you have the elements of your system. You just present the end. How you did it, that's what it really doesn't matter if you do it in paper, or if you do it in Canva, if you're doing it here. That's just a method of getting it done.
Yeah, exactly. I like doing the initial bubbles. So the first part that we did, I like doing that on paper a lot. Once it gets to this part, the connections, I like moving to a digital space because it allows me to move stuff around. Because now we're looking at the information and moving it left, right, and then it's a bit more cumbersome by hand and takes a lot of paper. But the initial bubbles for me is always easiest to do them by hand. Because like I said, the differentiators don't have to be colors. I mean, sometimes I use markers, and that's fine, but you can just do it with any symbol. So I'm going to bring both, because the yellow is part of the development. I'm going to bring it into view.
Yes, and that's where I have, in my mind, how all the orange connects to the yellow. And if we say, like, maybe we are going to do, and the yellow is sort of not only, the humans that are going to input information. So for what have others done, and we can link that to community organizers, we can link that to existing networks. Who is already doing that? From the 10 areas of knowledge, and again, this is like a big bubble, but we will link that to the most knowledgeable people, because the orange is right now Alejandro and I, right? It is just us, it's the project management. It's the, okay, we are going to develop the blueprint, but we need experts, right? We need the expertise of those people that have done it before, that have learned a lot of lessons, that have failed and recovered, or they have won and and been successful. So that's where that expertise, let's say that I had that expertise, I could be a yellow inside the orange, but we don't have it, so we consider that a separate group of a separate category, but a part of development. So
yeah, so I have right now, the way I'm moving through it is, problem identification is where we're at right now. I'm not sure. Is this what we're doing right now, would you say?
Well, for the problem identification, we also, the community organizers and the academics are linked to that problem identification. I don't know if you want to do now bubble by bubble, or you want to do it by groups.
I think just however it flows, I'm okay with.
So yeah, so we can. I would like to link problem identification to community organizers 2 ways, bidirectional, because we have to understand the problem well, right? And right now we think that the problem is, okay, the project is a problem to be solved. So we want to solve this, creating this blueprint, but we want to have that input to make sure that we have a clear problem. And I would do it like bidirectional, because
working on it.
It's going to be, oh, I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all back.
And then the same with academics. When academics, are we thinking of research? Are we thinking of people in universities or colleges or high school or primary education? Or
no, in terms of academics, I was thinking of people who might have research that might be relevant. For example, we were talking about Erica Chenoweth. The other, I don't know if it was here or in some other setting, but they are a researcher, and they've focused a lot of their efforts, research, publication, into looking at crowd counting and evaluating successful nonviolent movements in the past around the globe, and coming at it from a numbers perspective of what kind of numbers do we need, trying to find some commonality of what kind of numbers are needed when a group, whatever that collective might be, is looking to make or change something about their circumstances. So that is the kind of like person, academic, in the academic field that I had in mind that could help inform the best way or the most efficient way or the most effective way to interweave or go about collaborating on a bigger scale.
Okay, and one of the things that I like to do because we could have problem identification with community organizers, with academics, but pretty much this is like the brain, right? Like the expertise. The expertise comes from all these people. So what I like to do is
just like a bigger bubble.
To make a bigger bubble like here, and then we know that all that is connected. And it is like if we have the heart, let's say that big bubble that Alejandro is drawing right now is the heart, but within the heart there are other elements that all the connections are going to be similar. So yes, and that way we don't have.
I think I'm going to change this connection then to this bubble.
Yes, correct, and yes.
And I think I do, like, there is a bit of order here because, for example, when I talk about trying to figure out the sequence of how I'm going to, work with these bubbles after. So when I think about most knowledgeable people, who are they? So maybe thinking about areas that we can identify that, and then looking at our existing networks. I have some experience with community organizing and have connections in different parts of the world. So that is a great place, I think, to also start to find more information about what different organizers are doing in different spaces, and also what kind of knowledge is held that could potentially be shared and helpful in this process. And then, of course, from there, we want to identify community organizers, change makers, academics, maybe who is already doing this is early as well.
And that's something like we could have, if you grab just for a minute, just for the sake of the exercise, like a tiny arrow, and then from the most knowledgeable people, because that's, you start with that process. Who are the most knowledgeable people, right? We don't start like, oh, change makers, because then we start like jumping back and forth. So we want this to be flexible, but we also want to give some structure to our brain. So we say, okay, we're going to start, who are the most knowledgeable people or the subject matter experts? And then we can say, oh, change makers, community organizers, academics, So, and then we can have the internal connections within that particular yellow heart.
Exactly. I was thinking something like that. And then perhaps from here, go to these three.
Go to where? Sorry, I didn't hear.
No, just like how I'm doing right now.
Yes.
Did you want this extra bubble over here?
No, did I put it?
It might have been a mistake. One thing with how the board works, if you click and let go, it'll just create another of the shape that you're working from. It'll replicate it. But if you click and then connect it to the next shape, it'll just create an arrow to that shape.
So, for example, to make this like, to make this like not to have that loop for this, because we want to have a visibility. And of course, when you start doing this is with the software, it will be doing this. Don't get too upset. That's how you happen, and then you start cleaning it up. And then from that, from the yellow bubble, from everything that is collected there, you go back to your 10 areas of knowledge, because with that information, you start. I am still like a little bit confused with the what have others done.
Well, I think that is part of the process of I think the research and talking to different people, is because who is already doing this might be sort of a present take, who is actively kind of working in these spaces, who is actively implementing strategies around this. But what have others done might include a focus more looking back. It might not be movements that are currently going on, but it might have been at a certain moment in time in a certain context and have had an effect. So I think that is kind of the complementing part of it that is not maybe currently happening, but has been effective in the past. So I think that would be the part of the orange. And I think this is where it kind of becomes clear how the categories are just a tool to process the information, but are not perfect, because as we're processing orange and yellow, we're seeing there's, why is what have others done orange, but who is already doing this yellow? It is going to be part of the same sort of research process of information gathering.
Right, and it is and the beauty that we have seen and valued from this tool is how you're thinking, right? You are thinking consciously. What does that mean? What does that mean to me? And how do I get here, or how will I get there? So it is, and that's when you start saying, like, does that belong here, or is part of? Oh, do we have research, and what have others done will feed? In the what have others done, it could also be tied to the problem identification, because it could tweak it, and it will feed as well. Actually, I would put it like feeding the problem identification, because once that we have a well-identified problem with all the information that we have gathered, then we start developing our project, right? Like, we are going to scope it clearly. That is, this portion that we are doing here is the heart of the scoping of a project. Then we are gonna, for execution of the project, we are gonna create a timeline. We are going to understand how much it will cost, if we need funding, or if we need, fundraising, if we need what resources will be available. So I think that will could be a position for that, what others have done, and it would be also like a bi-directional, because I think that always we understand with a problem, and then we are redefining the problem. So the what have others done and problem identification is bi-directional, I would say, because they are there. The information, what have others done? There are some others existing in the world, and then we take from that.
Okay. And I was thinking multiplier effect, and like, how are they doing it to be, so once we identify who is already doing this kind of in these spaces, and then the question would be, okay, how are they doing it, right? So that would come sort of after. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it would be.
And I see multiplier effect more as a bit later, when we're translating this knowledge into the actual blueprint. So I see it more a bit down the road, and I feel like once we start doing blue, it might make sense, because I feel like the multiplier effect will be part of the handoff to blue.
Yeah, and this is also, as can be seen right now, it doesn't mean that all the orange are going first, and then the yellow, and then green, and they are going to be in different parts of the scope. And this is when we do the mapping, we are going to see how everything is interconnected to the different areas of the process and of the
Exactly.
project.
Exactly. So right now we have, I think, a pretty good idea and connection with these two categories. Would you say we're ready to look at a different category?
Yeah, and just as a matter of clear, like a little bit of theory behind, is that no bubble can be without connection, because it makes that, what is it doing there? And when we find that, that's when we see we have a gap. We have something that it's happening, but it's not connected, or it has a beginning and no end. If it has a beginning and no end, could be a problem. We are going to start with the problem and the end. And if it has an end and no beginning, it is, there's a gap somewhere, unless that is the beginning of the project and the end of the project. So every bubble has to have something that input and something that outputs.
Yeah.
Unless that the bubble itself is a product. And then we say, okay, we got this information. But if it's information to make decisions, that information has to be looped either to the 10 areas of knowledge of project management to make a decision, or the operational reality, or and that's critical. But that will be at the end, but we want to have that in mind, that every bubble has to have a connection, has to have an input and an output.
So yeah, because the thing here, what we're trying to visualize is the project as a system. And when we're thinking about a system, we talk about an interconnected set of elements that are organized in some sort of way in order to achieve a common purpose. So that's why, in order to intentionally design systems, that is why we work with this approach where we write the purpose, because in order to have that purpose be the actual function of the system, it has to be embedded into every part of the process. And that's why we always have that visual. And then all of these, the bubbles essentially can either be an element or an interconnection if we're looking at the other two components of a system. And that's something that, as we're mapping it in this way, we can see what is one, what is the other, and how it flows. And like Lizzie said, it is central to the system that the elements are interconnected. That is a central part of the system. There is that dependency, there is that work, those feedback loops that need to be in place in order for it to be called a system. When you were given the example of the human body as a system and a set of systems, it's not the same to have all these body parts arranged in different ways. It wouldn't be the same. And if they were not connected, it wouldn't be the same. It doesn't work as a system. So this is why there can't be just floating bubbles. And right now we have the multiplier effect, for example, as a floating bubble, and we know that can't be there. But like I was saying, it'll be a connecting point between this and a different category. But I wouldn't be able to finish my system visualization like this, because there are two bubbles on the right that are not connected to anything. And ideally, in order for them to be part of the system, they have to be interconnected. They have to be either feeding something into it or getting something out of the system. So what color, pick at random, what color would you like to incorporate next?
Before you go that, now
we have,
initially we thought, okay, let's put this yellow, because sometimes the whole yellows, they go together, or not sometimes. I mean, in this particular case, I thought, okay, they are going to be all together. It's pretty much one group or another. But now that we have interconnected each of them, let's show you a trick. So if you remove the bidirectional from problem identification to the big yellow, remove that and make it from problem identification to most knowledgeable people. Just directly, right. And also to existing networks. because we are going, unless that the existing networks, yeah, both, do both. You can do both. You can link it
I'm getting there.
Oh, okay. Now, the change makers, we have talked, we have evaluated from the change makers, community organizers, and academics. We link that to the how are they doing it.
Right. And I'll do all three.
Yes. Maybe you want to go on this. Okay. And now from how are they doing it, you go to problem identification one way. So we have closed that loop there. And now, if you want, you can remove the big bubble. So the big bubble helped us to, the big yellow bubble, it helped us like, okay, let's group all this together and see how it works. And then, and those are the tricks. And that's what your brain is going to tell you. Your brain is going to tell you what, how you see things. And maybe if you, I don't know because I don't, okay, perfect. So now we have all those bubbles, we can see the connections. All of them have an entrance and an exit. And once and everything goes to the problem identification, because now we know what others have done. They are going to validate or reinforce or enhance or reduce the size of the problem. And then with that problem identified, we go to our project, to our big 10 areas of knowledge. So everything that goes after this is going to go from the 10 areas of knowledge. But that doesn't mean that greens or purple or blue are not going to connect to yellow. They could as well, right? So how do you think? How do you think it? How do you see it this way?
No, I think it's looking great. I think we're ready to bring in a different color. I'm trying to think, because blue is a really big one. Should we just go ahead and do blue? What do you think? Or maybe green?
No, I think I would pick either green or purple, because blue is going to need a whole hour.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Good idea. Maybe next week that will continue connections. We can focus on blue specifically. So I can bring green in.
Let's do green. Maybe you want to put it on top so it's easier.
Yeah, I'll bring him over. It'll just take a little bit. All right, just dump those right there. And then we also bring in the legend so we know what category we're working with. All right, are those visible? Yes, they are. So now we're looking at doing exactly the same thing and seeing how green not only relates to one another, but also how they could relate to what we already have mapped out. So maybe we can just have some inside our brain thinking time. Let's see while I separate them.
Yes, so there are some that, for example, define humans who inspire you. It is sort of an input that for the scoping process as well, because the others are.
What do you mean?
I would say are. So
I'm gonna make a big community. I know this is a bit messy right now, but let me make. I'm gonna do the same thing we just did, because I think that is helpful.
It was helpful. I don't think we haven't done it like that before.
No, I usually do. Yeah, I usually do.
Yeah, I have done it, but they don't move around. Like, they are like all together. You say, oh, okay, they are all together here, but I have not done it the way that we just did. So, for example, find humans who inspire you. It is something. Let me start with the other ones. So geography, interest, religion, culture, identity, all that are like fixed features in the sense like religion is a fixed feature, right? It's a categorization of a community that gathers because they have that common religion or because they have a common identity or because they have a common culture. So they are, that's what I call like a fixed communities.
What do you mean by fixed now?
They exist, like they are established.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay.
That's how I see it. So you will have communities that are at the point of, we mentioned points of gather because they have a commonality, right? They have a common religion or they have a common culture or identity or whatever. So those are like, the inputs and outputs of them are going to be pretty much the same. So they could be within a green bubble. And maybe, you know what I mean?
But I think it'd be easier if you tell me which ones would not be in the green bubble.
Okay, find humans who inspire you, because that's.
Yeah, I'm not sure that one. I'm not sure that one, how that one fits in this category, but I think that's why it doesn't. With shared realities and shared motivations, how would that fit?
Shared reality, I think, is different, right? Because you could have a shared. I think, I mean, if I'm trying to think how my brain is thinking right now. So the shared reality, you can have a shared reality between somebody of one religion and somebody with identity, but they don't belong to the same community.
Well, but that's part of, I think that was part of my thought there was that you can create a community around a shared reality. In that, that was my thinking.
Yes,
there,
yeah. Absolutely. But what I'm saying here is that probably the inputs and outputs of creating a community with a shared reality is different than inputs and outputs of a community that already exists. Because we already have communities that exist because of religion, because of identity, because of disability. That's what so we can. Do you follow me, or I am?
No, I follow. But I think that there are already communities that exist based on shared realities. That's why I feel like it fits in there. I know. I think I understand the kind of the established, I think overarching sort of. I don't know. Maybe it's like more institutionalized. I don't know what the difference is, but yeah. Would you put work, industry, and sector into that? Would you keep it in here as well? Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm they all feel like they go in the green, except find humans who inspire you.
Yes, because it is like just different groups. So it is like if it's one bubble that is communities, and within communities they are broken, and then there will be some particulars about it. But it's not going to happen with the green like the same that with the yellow, with the green. Like right now we are currently like the green heart. Before we have a yellow heart, but the yellow heart kind of we got rid of it because we could interconnect all those elements. But here we don't need to connect religion to identity to languages because they're
just sort of parallel.
They are standalone communities, pretty much. I mean, they could, and they will have a shared reality. That's what I see shared reality like.
Oh, like it could be based on maybe the religion. It can be based on
yes,
the geographic location. Okay.
Because the shared reality will have a different.
Would you put it before or after? If you're thinking it and like thinking through it. I don't think it's too crucial.
I would put it after.
After,
Because-
like people already gather that, and then the shared reality or shared motivations
Yes,
inform
yes.
kind of how they organize further.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
Because we don't know the shared reality of necessarily the religious group, right, or identity. So I think it is something that will inform what is the shared reality, because the shared realities are going to be different. So we are going to have that, and if when we will see later if that shared reality has to be duplicated or triplicated in different bubbles, because the shared reality of, for example, let's say affinities or identity or disability is, I don't know, we have a community of immigrants that we mentioned that, and as a geography location, how we put that? I don't think that.
I mean, I think that could fall under affinities, and that could fall under shared reality. That's why I was thinking that when I was thinking of shared reality, it might be that. It might be that your yeah, your like, immigrant experience can be a point of community. But I do agree that I think it can start at the green. You might not have anything else in common. You might not have religion or culture or location, but you have that particular shared reality, and then it still continues the process to whatever comes after that. So I think it's, I think like this, I would put it in the sense of this big bubble together, maybe, because I was thinking here, maybe from who is already doing this, because part of what I was thinking is that we want to look at who is doing this in different spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So like how, or maybe bi-directional in the sense that it will inform, so maybe we can look at change makers or organizers or academics within those different spaces, in different communities that can help inform. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay, I think I'm gonna make this guy here. And this is gonna come here. It's gonna inform that.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
And define humans who inspire you. I will. We have 3 minutes.
Ooh. Yeah. No, this might be a good time to just like pause it right there. We leave these 3 floating bubbles to address next time.
Yes.
And then how we're connecting this to the other categories. I'm going to do a quick zoom out just to see. We got our big bubbles, and then we got the mapping and connections that we've done so far. And then we have our purple, blue, and gray categories that we're going to address next week.
Next week.
Cool. So yeah, that is 45 minutes of working on these connections. I will transition off that. And yeah, so it's a few minutes. I think we'll stop working there, and we will skip next week because I will be off, not working, and we will resume on Tuesday. I believe it'll be April 21st. Is that correct, Lizzie?
Is correct.
Yeah, looking at my calendar. Yeah, Tuesday the 21st, same time, same place. As always, for anyone looking for support with their specific idea, project, or strategy, we are offering office hours every week, Thursdays and Mondays. And the link to sign up is in the description. And yeah, follow our LinkedIn pages to keep up to date. We're looking to host our first ipsicafé special event at the second half of the year. You can stay updated on our website or LinkedIn pages. Anything else you want to say, Lizzie?
Yes, that the office hours for Thursdays are going to be paused for the month of April and May because I'm going to be in a very different time zone. And it would be, I had it pretty much to support the America's time zone, but I'm going to be on the other side of the water. So the 3 o'clock in the afternoon where it was, it's going to be midnight. So they are going to be paused for April and May.
All right.
The rest of April.
We'll make sure that the link has is updated with the information. But yeah, thank you very much. Get some rest. Y hasta la próxima. Ciao.
Bye-bye. Ciao.